Hey guys, welcome back to the DillaMilla show. I'm here with Professor Liera, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Black Belt. He's been training for 13 years since he's 12 years old, and it's good to have you here, man.
Thank you.
We're live. Steve, Os? Steve doesn't train jiu-jitsu. He's never done it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I was like, was that podcast we did with the twins boring?
No?
No, I asked Steve.
Oh,
because he's never trained jiu-jitsu.
Oh, okay.
Was it?
No, it was good. I didn't know what you guys were talking about half the time. It was good. It was entertaining.
You don't have to do jiu-jitsu to understand that the twins are dope.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
they're great.
yeah, they have like legend like vibe.
Yeah, they have
even though they're only 16.
They got a lot of energy.
great
Yeah.
energy. Yeah,
Yeah.
It rubs off.
Yeah, I remember them literally. I mean, these are all stories that I was dying to tell when I was sitting here watching them.
Oh yeah, we should have had you been on.
Watching them do this interview was, I remember them when they were literally 3 and 4 years old competing.
Yeah.
And already, like, everybody in the tournament would stop to watch them.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, they were maybe a foot shorter than, their opponents, just because the next age was probably 5.
Yeah.
And they were like this, different in height. And their embroidered patches on their gi, I'll always remember, they were bigger than their whole back. So they would like stitch it onto their back, and it would just be flat up against their back, pushing their gi out. And you would see the two of them fight, 3 or 4 times each, which meant like 9 times together.
Right.
So like.
Did you watch them fight each other a lot?
I don't ever remember watching them compete against each other.
Right.
But I've watched them train a bunch for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. They have such energy. Like they're so like high energy.
Yeah.
Do they have
awesome.
that all the time?
Oh, the whole week that they were staying at my apartment, we were dying laughing. They're a different vibe than me and YJ, my partner. And like, we're still good friends, but it's just so funny seeing them two. Them two can interact with each other all day long.
Yeah.
And go through like fights and jokes and like everything all within 10 minutes.
So after the podcast, when I went over there and went to your gym and trained, they were still like, and I got there, they guys had like drilled for like an hour because I had to pick up one of my students and go through traffic. And so by the time I got there, they were still like, high energy.
I mean, that's what they do. Like, they're going to be beasts because their bodies are molded with jiu-jitsu ingrained already. So when they mature and that puberty finishes and they grow into their body and then that old man strength kicks in, they're going to be.
I've felt it kick in, like man strength has activated within the past like year with them both.
Nice.
Like I remember rolling with them in early 2018 until now.
Right.
And it's completely different. Like before you could feel how good they were in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
But at any given point, like
you can muscle them.
I'm a little bit bigger. I'm a black belt, so I would just hold them down, But now it's getting to the point where like, oh, okay, this is a real roll without that like safety button of like holding a child down.
Yeah. You have that backup.
It's like actual, and the training this week was so cool because of that.
They're fun rolls, I tell you that.
Yeah.
They're fun rolls.
They're so good.
I always roll with people the first time I roll with them a little differently to kind of fill out their game and stuff. And Cade was like, you could tell he's been doing a lot of no-gi. So he just went, like, he was like trying to darce the shit out of me.
That's how they roll though.
Yeah.
They've always rolled like that. Like their gi game and their no-gi game is quite similar, like their passing in the gi. It feels like you're not really controlling their gi much. Like it's hard to keep control of them. And their movement is like completely disregards the gi a lot of the time. Like they just focus more on like body positioning than grips to hold them in places.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's so interesting to see them in ADCC, because most of the juveniles that I see that are like high level and are even on Cade and Ty's level.
Right.
They're not on their level in the no-gi, I don't think.
Right.
You don't see them competing against black belts the same way.
You don't see them on the pro card beating
No.
Wagner.
Yeah. Yeah, they would. I mean, I don't know any other juvenile that stepped up and even did a trial like they did. So
no, that takes balls.
Yeah.
Ooh. But you started young too. So how old were you when you started?
I started when I was 12.
God, lucky ass.
Yeah, still
It's
young.
not 3, but it's definitely young. Yeah.
Jay, how old were you when you started?
11.
Jiu-jitsu.
44.
Yeah,
No, 43.
44.
Sick.
43.
43.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Steve?
I still have yet to try it. So
Yeah.
Get in there.
We'll get
Yeah.
him in there.
Why not?
He just, I don't know. We're just.
That's what we need to do is like, when
What-
people come in here to be like, if you can't beat Steve, you can't be on the show.
that just makes me like someone to be abused. Come beat this guy.
I thought you liked that. I thought you were into that abuse.
Yes and no, because they won't know what to expect. Like, oh my God, like, how bad is this dude?
Because you,
Right,
you already got
yeah.
a beard and you kind of carry yourself.
Man. Yeah.
You carry yourself like a gangster.
No, thanks.
That's a compliment.
True G.
Right. And what we do, we get you a mouth guard that has like the lines, like your victims.
Yeah.
And so when you smile, like, what is that for? That's how many people I've killed on accident. And it's like, then they have them to step to the mat at that point.
Cheesiest thing.
Jay's got the cheesiest stories. His brain works so crazy, and he's so smart too, which is nuts. It's like awesome. So you started at 12 years old. Where'd you start at?
I started at a gym at an academy in San Diego called Neto Jiu-Jitsu, ran by Odi Neto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his academy isn't around anymore, but
Right.
he was a black belt under like Mario Sperry
Yeah.
or that lineage at least.
Right.
And then after a few months there, I went to another school in San Diego, Pitbull Jiu-Jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And
What
I
a
trained
name.
with a guy, Joao Cunha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like an old school, like OG Jiu-Jitsu lineage too.
Cream rises to the top.
Back in
hard,
Rio.
Hard mat.
Yeah. And then, and that gym was tiny. It was cool. It was pretty rad. It was like right there on the beach
Mm-hmm.
in San Diego. And then I trained with Solo for a few years. And then I trained with Atos starting in 2011. So I've been there for like 8 years.
So how old were you when you went over to Atos? Like 16, 17, something like that? Or older?
I think I was 17. I was about to turn 18.
Right.
And how old are you now?
I'm 26.
Okay.
Yeah.
26 years old. Just opened his first gym.
Yep.
We're going to talk about that in a second. That's good. That's good.
Sweet.
So when you started, I guess you can relate to the twins a little bit by being a teenager. Because when you're like that 11, 12-year-old age and you're rolling, it's weird to fit into kids class and it's weird to fit into adult class.
That's exactly where I was at. I was like, I started in the kids class, but already I was one of the bigger kids.
Right.
Everyone else was like 7 and 8,
Yeah.
that size. And I was 12.
It's frustrating for them.
But there was like maybe 2 or 3 kids in that class that were about my size.
That's good.
And then after maybe the first couple of classes, the instructor Odie just let me keep training in the adult classes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because my dad was training too. We started
so
together.
you started at the same time?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he just got his black belt this year as well. And then
And when did you get your black belt?
I got my black belt in 2014.
So if you're training the same time, why did it take your dad so long?
He took some time off. He
Yeah.
chilled. Yeah, he was off and on. And then also he didn't have so when we left Saulo Ribero's academy
Mm-hmm.
and I went to Atos, he didn't follow me. Instead, he was working at the Arena, which is an academy which is an MMA gym
Yeah.
next to Saulo's gym.
Oh.
And he kept training there under Barrett Yoshida.
Right.
And for a while it didn't seem like, who is his instructor, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Is it,
So
I don't know.
Barrett,
and
whoever.
Barrett's tough.
Right.
Barrett's super tough. He's old school. If
Very
you're going to
old
get a
school.
black belt under him, you got to put time in. And my dad did. He was a brown belt for
Is that who he got his black belt from?
My dad got his black belt after 8 years of training as a brown belt under Barrett. So
He was an 8-year brown belt?
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
One of those.
I was a 5-year brown belt and a 5-year purple belt.
My dad's belt schedule was so crazy though. He got his blue belt 3 times.
What?
Because we trained at those 3 different
Oh, I see.
gyms in the beginning, and every time he went back to white belt.
Yeah.
So we trained at the first spot. He got his blue belt, and then we trained at another Joao's spot.
Right.
But when he went to Joao's, he took his blue belt off. So they gave him his blue belt there.
Another blue belt.
And then we went to Solo's, it was the same exact thing.
That's awesome. Well, he knows
Yeah.
the real.
So he's probably killing it at the blue belt level once he started.
Yeah, that was a sandbagging blue belt for sure.
Yeah.
But also humbles you about like getting your belt, you know? Like there's something to be, because some people are like always belt chasing, and that's just, jiu-jitsu takes too long. Like you grow out of it. That's part of the phase.
For me, my belt promotions weren't that big like of a deal to me. Like I felt like when I got my purple belt, it was kind of expected,
right?
Because I won Blue Belt Worlds. Yeah. And Blue Belt Worlds was like the moment.
How old were you when you got your purple?
17. Yeah. And then same with getting my brown belt. Like I'd won Worlds, so I was like, oh, that's, you know, the huge moment. Right. So the belt just kind of seemed like extra
natural.
Like, yeah. It's a
natural.
And the same with the black belt too. Yeah. Like now I feel really proud, or I felt really proud when I got my first degree. I thought that was like really, really cool. It meant a lot to me. Yeah. And like those promotions don't even mean any, like they're not even based off of anything but time.
I know.
But the time spent at black belt, that's like solidified, like everything from the moment you get your black belt until the first degree is like, it's over. And
what do you mean?
Like you can't go back and do those 3 years again.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like whatever memory you hold on to or whatever experience you gained, like it's now encapsulated in just a piece of tape wrapped around your belt. Right. That follows you everywhere
forever.
You go. Everywhere you go.
Yep.
Every time you tie your belt, like I make sure that piece of tape's there. Yep. And I get my second one November of this year of 2020. Wow. And
so you've been a black belt for 6 years now coming up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It's like also those people that don't like train during that time because it's a time thing. Yeah. So if you're just popping in and out, right, they still may give you your professor still may give it to you because of time. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So it's really like on you to do. You have to carry the weight of like being responsible. And I'm talking like you're an academy owner now.
And I think that's why I'm so happy about getting the degrees is because like I am proud of like by the time I get my second degree, I'll be super proud of the 3 years that I spent in between my first degree and my second degree. And like, if I were barely training, if I gave up on competing or anything like that,
I'd be like pushing that stripe off. I'd be like, no thanks.
Exactly. Like I wouldn't want it, even though it's pretty much mandatory. You get it. Mm-hmm. Like I think it's a good system of holding yourself accountable for like being a good jiu-jitsu
instructor or well, not everybody teaches. That's the thing. I would say more don't teach.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Do you did you notice anything when you got your black belt that changed for you? Like the minute you got it? Or like was it, because that's when I got mine, I was like, okay. And it was like a big deal. Like my family came.
That was recently, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That was awesome. In October.
Sweet.
Training 13 years. Don't jump instructors, guys.
I heard about that as I was getting my hair cut.
From Perp?
Yeah, from your student.
Yeah, he's great. He cuts Mike's hair. It's good. I told him to come down there and train with you. We were supposed to go on Monday. I didn't make
anytime.
It. Yeah. No, it's, when I got it, it was very, I don't know. Because when I was 19, when I started jiu-jitsu, then the guy that brought me in, his name's Garrett Poole. He owns a school down in New Braunfels, Texas. He's like a second degree now, and he's very, very good. I just wish he would compete more because he'd definitely be a world champion for sure. But
what's his name?
Garrett Poole, and he's like more like he runs a family martial arts jiu-jitsu school, and but he's I watched him fight Bruno Bastos when Bruno first came to the United States, and Garrett was a brown belt, and this is before Bruno could even speak English, and Garrett lost by like a point on him, and then Bruno picked him up.
Dang,
and
Bruno's tough.
Yeah, this was like Bruno was like hardcore. Yeah, and he in the adult division, and he held Garrett's hand up and was like, "This guy needs a black belt. Where's his instructor? I want to talk to him."
That's right.
I was like, "His instructor's not here. He doesn't go to competitions." So, but when I started jiu-jitsu, I said like at 19, I was like, "This is what I'm gonna." I thought the class was so cool, and I was so tiny. I was like, I'm going to do this till I get a black belt. And I told that to Garrett, and I didn't know him from anybody. And he was like, yeah, okay. And I like, sign the contract. Here you go. Like just another white belt that come and go. But it was the first time I said for myself, like, I actually mean I'm going to do it. Yeah. So then when I got it, it was like, okay, now what? Yeah. Right. It's like, finally, after all these years, like, So for you, did you have anything like that? Like, what was it like when you, I mean, I know you said you deserved, like you earned it, right?
Yeah.
But did anything change for you? Like, have you changed after becoming a black belt?
I think, I guess the change came unexpectedly after I got my black belt.
What do you mean?
Like going into it, I was still on the same like momentum and I had the same mentality as I was when I was a color belt. But the first couple of years of black belt, I did a lot of like personal self-growth. I felt that was really necessary, that was being put off because I was winning everything at the colored belts.
Right.
Like, I think there's a lot of lessons that come with like jiu-jitsu hard times, you know, not hard times outside and off of the mats, but literally on the mats.
Right.
And those started when I got my black belt, which was so weird.
What do you mean when you say like hard times? Like the rolls or like?
Everything from the rolls to the competition. Like it was pretty much a breeze up until that point. Like when I was a blue, purple, and brown belt, there were no expectations. So like if I was training with a black belt and I was even doing okay, it's a good.
Yeah, you're fine.
You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a win.
All right.
And like all throughout my colored belt career, like I'd won everything. So like I never really went through like hard times.
Hard jiu-jitsu times.
Yeah.
That's a good way to say
like,
it.
It was great.
It makes sense because you think of like anything else in life. Like there's no such thing as a bad student, just bad teacher. So you're still a student at that point.
Yeah.
And then when you put on a black belt, you're viewed totally like now you should be a master. We're expecting you to be at that level. So they're going to treat you as such. Like I can understand the pressure.
Yeah. So I like all of that caught up to me. Like from the point that I was 20 years old when I got my black belt till about 21 or 2 to figure out like, oh, okay, like I need to let go of these parts of my ego because, you know, that's just not sustainable.
Right.
You know, it'll drive me nuts. Mm-hmm. Or like this, I have to approach these things like this, otherwise I won't grow. And there's like a list of things that I really had to address before I could even like, even though black belt was supposed to be like when I got my black belt, that was the start.
Right.
I feel like I had a lot of stuff to catch up on before I could even start. So the first year or so, I would say the first 2 years, I had to like work on myself before I could even enter my name in as a real contender in these tournaments.
Right.
And even with that being said, I won Europeans at black belt my first year, which was cool. And it just felt like a continuation of the colored belt thing. Yeah. It was after that I had to.
You think it's like an imposter syndrome kind of?
That too. I had to deal with that.
I'm not worthy or I'm not really a black belt.
I had to deal with that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it showed up for me. I mean, you know, and you know, you have all these people like people you look up to going, oh, it's well deserved. It's well deserved. You totally deserve this belt, you know? Yeah. And then it still kind of shows up. Right.
I think if you didn't feel that way, you'd have been in for the wrong reasons. Because rarely do people find out like at 19 or at 12, you found what you wanted to do with the rest of your life. Some people will live and die and never experience that. Right. Yeah. Because they just never really put their time and effort into something. And then you're there and it's like, oh my God, I made it. Like when I earned my doctorate, it's like, oh, I'm here. Like now what? Yeah. You just feel like I don't belong. And but you gotta settle into it and go from there. And like, you won worlds first year or Europeans in the first year. That's impressive. Like that's a little. That
you imposter. You suck.
I mean, I knew I belonged because my accomplishments always said so, and most of the hard times came in the training room because like training at Atos is not easy.
It's a room full of killers.
It's a room full of killers every single day. Right. You know, like
one of the best gyms in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. So
what did you say it so like it kind of humbled you?
Yeah, for sure.
Getting your black belt.
For sure. It slowed me down, humbled me, and then now coming back, like I feel much better competing in the past year or two than ever before. And it's this like new type of mentality that kind of comes with those hard times. Yeah. So
I mean, I watched that Phil Leitz fight. You look great on the Fight to Win pro card.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sick.
That was one thing that I really wanted to push myself in was like I feel really comfortable competing in IBJJF. Right. Like pretty much where I grew up is on the IBJJF mats, you know?
Right.
So like, at the beginning of the year, I lost in the Europeans in the semifinals this year. I lost to Tommy, and I was like, okay, there's definitely, there's definitely a need for me to change things, like with what challenges I'm giving myself, because I'm way too comfortable here in the IBJJF tournaments.
Right.
And that's not a good thing. So I wanted to do some super fights because I've never felt comfortable just fighting one fight.
Right.
I've always felt, or match, or whatever you want to call it, I feel more natural competing in a tournament situation just because that's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
So I reached out to Seth, and we made I made 4 fights with Fight to Win this year.
Yeah.
And in the right after I lost to Tommy, I wrote in my journal, I was like, okay, I need to accept super fights. I'm gonna go 2-0 in Fight to Win this year against top 10 guys, or top guys at least.
Right.
You know. And I fought Jaime Canuto earlier this year, and then I fought Hugo Marquez, and then I came in to Denver, and they were having Fight to Win here, and I fought Phil.
Yeah.
And then after going 3-0, we went to Hawaii, and I fought Jake Watson.
Right.
And I think I've been thinking back on this a lot, like if I would have just shied away from that challenge of super fights,
right,
and stuck to IBJJF tournaments, I definitely wouldn't be the person that I am here today.
It's a whole different beast.
Yeah.
It's completely different, right? Like when you gotta sell, it's not one thing. You're making weight, which is normal, but you're weighing in the day before.
Yeah.
Then you can kind of counter that. Then you gotta, sell tickets, and then you gotta
it becomes
people.
Personal too.
Yep. And you notice if Seth, Seth's going to be on here next week, and if someone could not make those mats so fucking slippery when you get out there, right?
Yeah.
Because if people all the lower belts have sweated on them or bled on them before you get on them, and it's just like
just the drop off from the stage to the floor.
Yeah,
that's daunting in itself. You're
like getting close to the edge, and you're like, well, Uchimata through the air.
Yeah, that's not my style.
No, that's the first thing I noticed when I went out there. I just remember feeling the first time on the pro card, I was like, this feels like slippery.
It's a different vibe. Super fights are a different vibe.
But it changes who you...
Against a tournament, you're trying to you're trying to achieve like an accomplishment like for yourself.
Right.
In a super fight, you're trying to beat another human. That's what it feels like to me, at least. Like,
well, I think too, like on the tournament level, you don't know who you can train for. Okay, I may fight these guys, but they may get beat, and you never see them. Whereas a super fight, they're training to beat just you.
Yeah,
like the mental game is.
It's definitely personal like that, because in a tournament, like it doesn't matter who enters. What you want is to win the tournament.
Right.
When you accept a fight for a super fight, you're accepting that like you can beat this person.
Even though he knows your weaknesses.
And he's going to say the same exact thing.
Right.
Like it's more personal in that. And it's cool. Like before I kind of stayed away from that. Like I don't like that. Me naturally, I feel more comfortable with trying to win, the ominous tournament. I just want the medal.
Right.
But once you start fighting just one person and you start picking those personal battles, I'm still not one to talk shit or anything like that. But I do think it's fun to kind of get into that like emotional state of like, oh, I'm definitely better than this guy and I can beat him right here and right now, even though he's saying the same exact thing. Right. Like you start getting addicted to that mindset. Yeah. So definitely I would like to jump back on the Fight to Win soon.
Yeah.
I want to do at least 4 next year too.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. It's, did you when you first start competing in local tournaments, how when you're like a lower belt, how fast it goes, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, what happened in that match?
It still feels that way to me.
Like I don't even remember it. Well, I've noticed when I opened this gym, I was a brown belt and I opened around all these black belts, and I was like, well, I need to show my students that I can compete and lead from the front. Yeah. So I would compete in like 3 or 4 divisions at the local tournaments, or I'd be like, do sub only, absolute. Sure. And so I'd be coaching them, and then I'd run and do, I'd have like 9 fights or something crazy. Yeah. And then you just kind of get used to it. It becomes comfortable. It's like whatever, right? But then the first time on the pro stage, I was like, what the hell was that? That was like, 7 minutes of quickness. And went by like that. You're like, oh my God. So yeah, it's like, but once you kind of get used to it, then it becomes easier, just like everything, right?
Yeah. 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 Putting yourself, I don't know, that competing in general, it's not my forte, like competing and showcasing. Like I really love to do jiu-jitsu.
Right.
I love to train jiu-jitsu. But I've had to acquire a taste for competing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm not a super competitive or confrontational person.
Right.
Like I really appreciate sharing the mats with people.
Mm-hmm.
And when it gets turned into sport, like me naturally, I kind of turn away from that. But jiu-jitsu has kind of molded me to like
lean into that.
Yeah, lean into it because I know it's my weakness. And I think that type of energy is what kind of drove me through the colored belt so well.
Right.
Is because I was so like not afraid, but like I just had this nervous energy every time I went and competed.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh shoot, like I really don't want to lose this. I don't want to do this first of all.
Mm-hmm. This is so honest. This is really good.
Second of all, I don't want to lose this.
Right.
So I would go with this like crazy like inner ape strength within to just beat these blue, purple, and brown belts.
Yeah, to be out tough. To show how tough you are.
And then at black belt, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to keep this up. I need to actually, appreciate this.
What do you mean?
Like I need to find myself as a fighter and a competitor. And I always say fight because I don't even see it as a fight. I have to force myself to see it as a fight.
Yeah.
So
like what's your mentality when you like go out on stage and you're about to fight? Because before you said like as younger, he was like kind of like a ape strength, like I've got to win. And what's changed?
Now I try not to lie to myself ever. Like if I'm not feeling like fighting that day, which is I don't feel that. I always feel excited to compete.
Right.
But like, let's say you're going up for whatever tournament, you feel like kind of off.
Yeah.
I try to accept that I'm off and then figure out how I can fix it rather than telling myself otherwise.
Yeah.
Like I like to be genuine with myself because I feel like I know when I'm lying to myself. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like if I go into a match knowing that I'm feeling whatever, anything but
ready to go,
superior confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And I just try to force myself to say like, yeah, I could beat this guy every time. Like that lie doesn't last you throughout the fight. You have to address it right there.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't feel that superior confidence going into it, don't just tell yourself you do.
Yeah.
Actually figure out why, you don't feel that way. Give yourself a few, that morning, think about why you're feeling that way. And really like now I try to like process it long before, that way I can change my mentality rather than just lie to myself.
Right.
Anytime that I do, like I said, I feel like it doesn't last me through the fight. So there's no benefit in lying to yourself in the long run. You have to like say like, oh, I don't feel good because, whatever, my opponent's this or that, or my preparations were like this year, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then you have to go on to or at least for me personally, I have to go on to the next step, which is usually like, okay, well, what can I do about it now? Nothing.
Right.
You can't do anything about it.
And usually it's like a little too late.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and then once you get past that, the next question is, so what should I do now?
Right.
Well, I should accept that this is this and I am who I am and I can still beat this guy. Oh, I can still beat this guy. Then why am I even tripping out right now? What's my best way of going about beating this guy? Is being superiorly, like having that superior confidence. So here I am back with superior confidence.
Right.
Going through that process is so much stronger than lying to yourself in the beginning.
It's like it's almost as if when you choose it, it kind of disappears. All that.
Yeah. 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 Competing is it's a total mind fuck at times.
Yeah. Especially for people that start.
It's my favorite thing.
People quit jiu-jitsu when they compete. They say in a lot of these martial arts, how to run businesses, books is like, don't have your kids compete. Don't have your students compete. They'll get injured or they'll get beat up and they'll lose the confidence and then you lose business.
These are your two options though. You can either not compete,
right,
and not be honest with yourself of where you're at or who you are, and just be safe, or you can compete and face it. And when you face it, it's always better than it seems like it will be. every time I've competed, even if I've lost terribly,
Yep.
it's never as bad as the worst thoughts that you've had about like what could happen.
Right.
And actually it gives you the best outlook from that day on. That like you're so glad that you did it. So why would you ignore that? You know, like I think about that about training every day too. Like training, if you wake up and you're like, oh, like today's not the day.
Right.
Today's not the day to go into the gym. My shoulder, my back, whatever it is, or you know, I've got this going on or that going on.
Right.
If you go into the gym and you bow out at the end of class, ask yourself again if you should have went in. You're going to say yes. You're glad that you went in
Every time.
single
Dude,
time.
It never fails.
Every single time.
Every time.
So if you just think about that before you go into class, like, yeah, I'm saying it's not the day today, but I bet you if I went in and then I asked myself after the class, if I should have went in, I would have said yes.
Yep.
Like it happens every time. And you can always just go at your own pace. Like don't take these, like when I'm at the gym and I'm asking someone, hey, like, do you want to roll? And they're trying to sit out. They almost always say yes. Like even though they chose to rest, if I just say, hey, do you want to roll with that guy? He's resting this round too. They almost always say yes.
Yeah.
And then after the round, I look at them and I could tell they're happy that
they're proud of themselves. Round.
Yeah. Yeah. It's never as bad as it seems. Competition's the same way. Like it's, if you do jiu-jitsu and you're afraid of the competition, I'm telling you right now, you shouldn't be. It's the truth is not that bad. Just face it and go out there and do your thing.
Yeah, lean into it.
Lean into it.
I always say to my students, jiu-jitsu is like life. So like how you are in the gym and how you handle jiu-jitsu is how you handle your life. So if shit gets hard, do you shy away from it?
Yeah.
Do you stop going for your dreams? Do you give up on yourself? Right?
Yeah. And I say this because it's my own personal mantra.
Hell yeah.
Know? Like it's not because I'm super confident in going out and
I don't think
fighting.
Anybody wants to compete. Most people don't.
I say it because this is exactly what I tell myself every time I go. Like I've competed, I think, close to about 10 times this year.
Yep.
And I guarantee you it definitely gets easier the more I do it.
Yep.
But I still have to say the same things to myself to, you know, get out there.
Yeah. If not, it's too easy. Yeah. It's like, well, I'll catch the next.
There's people that are definitely blood hungry out there and just don't care.
Yeah.
Like they'll go out there and fight no matter what. And if you're not one of those people, don't be afraid. It's
right.
Okay. You are who you are.
I remember, so when I opened this gym, kind of, you know, there's so many good black belts here in Denver. And, you know, the only place this building I could find was right where we're at, which is kind of in the heart of it. Like I didn't want to be a dick and put my gym right next to other black belts. That's not the type of person I am, but I couldn't find a place, especially for someone starting out with this, you know? And, so I said, I'm going to do the pro card, right? And just get my name out there.
Sure.
Even if I lose, I'm going to get a poster on the wall. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's going to like, yeah. It was more for like, I wanted to say, hey, there's a new academy in town.
Of course.
And you know, I wasn't prepared. No, like, you know, you're trying to like get students. I'm doing all kinds of crazy, still building out stuff. I mean, on the way to the event, dude, we just got the patches in and they were like, I had my friend in the back, she was sewing the patch.
Sweet.
Right. And I'm like, and you know, it's like, and it's like, whatever. And, you know, and so when you go out there and then I lost, by decision, I was like, I really didn't care because I don't have that in me about like losing. Like that's not a thing. Like I mean, I look back and learned from it. But what I noticed was, because in competition, if I lost, I could be a real piece of crap sometimes, right? So like I would go to local competitions when I had to coach and I put myself in 3 divisions. And I remember one time I stayed up all night before, right? And then I drove up to the competition. I had like Chick-fil-A and I was like eating a sandwich and I'm like, you know, and they're like, I was supposed to go on at like 11:30. And it's like a small one. It's like 9 a.m. right when they start. They're like, DillaMilla, ring 2. Yeah. And I'm like, I just downed a sandwich and coffee. I've been up all night. I feel like shit, right? So I fought and like I won that division, but after that I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And so the second division I started fighting in, I just remember in the middle of the match, I'm like, okay, I'm done with this match. And I just let the guy win. Which was weird, right? This is after I'd been in the school and been open and been competing a lot. Yeah. But then I was like, and I got like, because I knew I was fighting for like 3rd or something in there. I was like, nah, whatever. And so then I just remember at a point when I got done or with that division, I go, what are you doing? You know how you talked about like, you know, when you're lying to yourself?
Yeah.
And it's like one of those times where I showed up and I go, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Saturday, I usually get done with work, like jiu-jitsu, running a jiu-jitsu gym, right? At like, early afternoon, I'm going to be here till like 5. I'm like, yeah, fuck. All right. And I just remember going like, dude, your students are watching you. You need to be a leader. You're always talking about doing this. So then the next one I came out there and like destroyed the division and I had to fight my heart out, but I was out of shape. I came back from a knee injury from when I competed in Germany and I just didn't want to be there, you know? And so like after I lost that pro card, I remember shying away from doing the pro card again, which was, I didn't realize that. So I was like, well, I'll just do one later on.
Yeah.
And then Seth sends me messages like, cause I didn't apply and he's like, bitch, you're going to be on the pro card. And I'm like, Seth, I don't really, I think I'll do one next time. And he goes, you're going to be on the fucking pro card. I got to fight it for you. And I go, all right. And so, but what I learned from that is like, I'm thankful that Seth did that because then that had me go out there and like, you don't realize sometimes your brain kind of blocks out how much you're self-sabotaging. Right?
For sure.
Because I was like, oh, I'll just catch the next one, blah, 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 covering up that like, no, you're actually shying away. You're just not willing to look and really see.
Catch yourself when you're doing that self-sabotage to yourself. You have to.
You have to.
You have to. It's too easy not to.
It's like people come to you're talking about coming to the gym and how it's hard for a lot of people. Yeah. Right. And it's like, how many people give their word, like I'll train twice a week and these are my 2 days. And then they let like, oh, I'd rather sit down or lay down or. Yeah. Another thing that I think about all the time is, and I don't know how this proves to be so effective with me, but it does, is like, I always feel like what I'm doing doesn't mean very much. Like what I'm doing is cool. Jiu-jitsu is definitely cool. Yeah. It's super cool to go out there and compete against another human being wearing a karate suit and we're trying to choke each other. In pajamas. But at the end of the day, the guy that like, you know, builds a fence, like that fence is very necessary. Hell yeah. That fence is going to stop whatever coming across from whatever the fence is, you know, the purpose of the fence. I don't build a fence. No. You know, I don't do anything of any meaning. Like, I can choke this guy or I can not choke this guy. It's fine. Until you start teaching, right? Because then you're changing people's lives. Well, what gives jiu-jitsu this meaning is what? It's what you make of it, you know? Like, is it changing my life? The same way that fence is going to change, you know, the situation of the fence not being there? Yeah. Yeah, this is changing my life. Oh, well, is me doing this changing other people's lives too? Is it inspiring other people? I hope so. I'm going to try my hardest to make it. We're talking about competing, right? Anything. Just because like teaching, working jiu-jitsu in general. But teaching, you're definitely changing people's lives, right? Teaching is a lot more like actively helping someone else, for sure. It's like building a fence in a different way. Yeah. Yeah. Because people are like, man, teaching is a lot closer to building a fence than just being a competitor that goes in like, or just. But I'm just talking about doing jiu-jitsu, period. Yeah, no. You know, it's just like I mean, empty and meaningless. It's meaningless until you give it that meaning, you know, and it's up to you what kind of meaning you're going to try to give for it. So, you know, and it doesn't just start and stop with like teaching a technique to someone, because I could teach a technique to someone the same way, you know, anybody can, Hodger Gracie or a white belt. Right. All three of us could watch choose a technique, and we could all show it to someone. Right. But how are we going to, you know, is it going to be different? For sure. If Hodger Gracie teaches you a technique and he shows you the exact same details that I show you, it's still going to be way more impactful that he showed it to you. Because of how you see him. Because of how you see him, right, and what he means in the realm of jiu-jitsu. Yeah. In the realm of, you know, this magical imaginary world of jiu-jitsu, like, you know, this person has done so much jiu-jitsu that when he says something to you, you should listen. If Hodger Gracie says something to me, I should definitely listen. The same with the white belt. And for me, if I'm teaching it to someone, something like going and doing a fight to win adds to my magic, you know? Yeah, because you have that skill. So it's like that experience, right? Like I always try to revert back to like, okay, I'm supposed to be like every action I make in the world of jiu-jitsu adds to my meaning or subtracts from it. Mm-hmm. Like if I choose to go the self-sabotaging route and just not pay attention, right, you start to lose that magic, you know? And
you know, at that point, like if you're not paying attention to that, like, you know, things can slip away really quickly. Yeah. Really quickly.
Yeah. It's, you know how people say, they're about to be gone for 2 weeks from the gym. Maybe they went on vacation or something. They come back and they're, oh, I'm so out of breath. Right. Like, yeah. It's like that mad endurance, how quick it goes. It's the same way with those kind of those constructs you create for yourself, you know? Yeah. And it's like if you don't compete for a while and then you try to go compete. Like I had injuries and then I started another business and all kinds of stuff this past year. But I was out in Germany and I was teaching this Air Force team out in Germany and they were going to go to a competition in Luxembourg, like a little local, like Naga. And they're like, will you go with us? Yeah. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, will you compete? And then I'm like, well, in my head, I'm like, I'm on vacation. I don't want to compete, right? Yeah. I've been drinking and partying and having fun, right? And, but I always tell my students, like, I don't care where you're at in life. Like, you should put yourself when it's uncomfortable. And I hadn't competed in a long time. And I went out there and competed. And it's interesting how much, like, harder it was for me. Not like, first of all, nobody really, I mean, not all the people spoke English, right? So you're in a different country, you know how that is. Yeah. Because I'm used to hearing Portuguese being yelled from the side of the mats at any time. Yeah. Right. But like Russian, like I had to fight this big, and then they, you know, they moved me up. There's not enough. They moved me up into, intimidating. I weighed in 185 and they put me with the 220s. Right. Sure. So, and I'm like fighting this, like, you know, guy and, you know, but I go, man, dude, I need to compete more. Right. Just like, cause you don't want to lose that. Because it slips away like mat endurance almost. Yeah. And I tell students, like when they first start, I go, you don't have to compete here, but I request that you do at least two. One, because white belts usually go out there and get their ass kicked and it demoralizes them sometimes, right? Yeah. And then what the real growth is when you overcome that and come back the second time. Yeah.
Because what's the point of studying a martial arts if you're not going to put it into effect? Like, what are you training for? You're training because you feel either afraid of the real world or you got a bully. There's something in your life that's just bringing you to the discipline and the training, but how do you know it works and how can you really appreciate what you're doing if you never actually applied it? You can't go around choking people in the street. So
I mean, you could.
Well, yeah.
I might have done that when I was a blue belt at 20. I might have got a bunch of street fights.
20 years ago, I could get away with that.
Test my jiu-jitsu.
I'd be afraid to start a street fight now just because we're going to get shot or stabbed. But
yeah. So I
don't know anything about that. Like I said,
have you been in a real fight before?
All my chokes have been on the IBJJF mats. No, I haven't. No.
What are you doing later on this afternoon?
We could set that up.
Yeah, no.
No, you never had to use jiu-jitsu?
No, I can't even think of a reason to. Yeah. Yeah, like I think back to times where like, oh yeah, that could have, if I was someone different, that could have escalated to, you know, turning into a scuffle at the very least. Right. But for me personally, it's just not in my DNA.
Are you more of an introvert?
I think I'm like an introverted extrovert.
Well, you have to be extroverted when you're like instructor, right? You got to talk with people all the time, coaching mats.
I definitely thrive off of the extroversion, but I need a lot of introverted time. Right. Yeah.
Did you think, were you more of an introvert before you started jiu-jitsu?
Before I started jiu-jitsu, so before I was 12. Right. I think I was just really awkward, you know? Yeah. Like I grew up with my grandma a lot and like just kind of stayed in the house up until they threw me in school. And I just didn't have like proper social skills, you know? And then I went from one elementary school to another, like, you know how everyone from elementary school goes into middle school? Right. I went from that elementary school into like another area in San Diego's middle school.
Oh, you walked right into the heat of it.
I lost all of my friends there.
You're the new guy.
And I was the new guy there. And I went from like one, you know, ethnicity dominant elementary school to a different ethnicity dominant, you know, middle school, and like a totally different vibe. And like, so I had no friends there really. Yeah. I mean, I always had like one or two friends that I was really close with, but when it came to like social interactions with just like gen pop of middle school,
the gen pop of like, middle school,
I couldn't really handle it. Like I it was tough. And then same thing, I went from that middle school to a different high school.
Oh my God.
So it was like the same exact thing. I was put through the ringer again.
Right.
And again, I created like 2 or 3 really good friends. But when it came to like talking to everybody,
right,
like it was really tough, especially when in middle school I started jiu-jitsu. And in jiu-jitsu, like the same thing that Kate and Ty were saying.
You're with adults.
You're with adults.
Mm-hmm.
So going from like hanging out with, you know, all my friends at jiu-jitsu who are probably 22, 23 and up to like 40.
Right.
Who like really took me in as a friend. Like,
yeah.
Like I was 12, but I was pretty mature for my age, rather other than my social skills.
It's funny how they just sit there and talk to you like.
Yeah. And instantly I'm like, you know, peers with these people. And then I would go to middle school and I'd be like, oh, all of you are ridiculous. You know, like I can't even stoop down to this level, you know?
All right.
Like, and so that was tough. And then halfway through high school, I stopped going to school and just committed to jiu-jitsu.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I stopped junior
That's
year.
Badass.
So what brought you to jiu-jitsu to begin with? Like what was...
It was his dad was training, right?
No, me and my dad started on the same day. We he got connected with one of his friends from high school who was into MMA, and we watched an MMA fight at his house, which was like Hoist Gracie versus Matt Hughes.
Oh yeah.
And Matt Hughes put him down,
Mm-hmm.
and we were like, oh, that looks pretty cool. And they were like explaining to us, well, like the guy that he just beat, that's his style. Like,
yeah,
that guy's good at it, but that guy's supposed to be a legend at it.
Yeah.
And like they were trying to we started jiu-jitsu because of Matt Hughes.
That's awesome.
Which is interesting.
Which is interesting.
Which my lure to it is because of Hoist. So it's weird how different generations.
So my dad's friend
things.
was already a blue belt, I think, at the time, or a white belt or something. He trained with Dean Lister and Ken Shamrock back in San Diego when they had their gyms there.
Yeah.
And then he switched over to that guy Odi Neto's school because Odi Neto, my first instructor, back in the day in San Diego at like one of the Indian casino like smoker grappler tournaments. He took out, he was the jiu-jitsu guy. He took out the Lion's Den guy who trained at Ken Shamrock's.
Right.
So Ken Shamrock had this gym called the Lion's Den in San Diego, which was like a fight gym. And they were these huge jacked steroided dudes, you know, that like trained like heel hooks and dirty boxing or something like that. I don't know what they did.
Yeah.
But then like they had one of these smoker tournaments and that had like grappling matches, and my first instructor took on the Ken Shamrock guy, and he was way smaller, still super jacked, but way smaller, and he armbarred him from the guard. I think he like flying armbarred him actually.
Yeah.
And at the end, everyone was like chanting jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu.
Oh,
yeah, it was super gangster times.
Yeah.
Even like in a jiu-jitsu sense. So my dad's friend from high school switched over from Ken Shamrock's to that guy's gym.
Yeah.
And then that's when we started training with that guy, Odi Neto.
Yeah.
And
so do you think jiu-jitsu is like how's it changed how you are now? Like, because you said it was like you were an awkward kid before.
I don't even know where I would be without jiu-jitsu at this point.
Right.
Like, you know, I was pretty much a blank page up until I was 12. Like, God. You know, like I knew that I had like basic interests. Like I liked old music.
Yeah.
I liked, you know, I tried skateboarding for a while and I wasn't good at it. But I had like literally nothing that kind of grabbed a hold of me. Not even school. Like I was smart, but even like basic things in school I couldn't hold on to. Like, you know, like basic concepts like copying down vocabulary words when, you know, I just felt like, man, the book's right there. Why don't we just fucking look through it right here? You know,
that is a jiu-jitsu thing.
Like nothing made sense to me until I was 12. Like nothing. Like I didn't feel like doing anything.
Right.
And it wasn't because I couldn't, I literally had no interest in anything. And then when we started jiu-jitsu, it seemed like, oh, there's a lot of meaning to this. Like that guy,
like
what I said when I was 12.
Or because you were talking about adding meaning to jiu-jitsu?
Okay, so like when I was 12 and I was in that kids class with, you know, 2 or 3 kids that were also kind of in my age range and size, even though it was a kids class. one of them was like a yellow belt or orange belt.
Right.
So I looked at him, I was like, oh, this guy knows a lot, you know, like he knows a lot of technique. You know, after a few years, I'm going to have to, you know, I'm going to catch up to this guy. That's cool. Yeah. And then like he was, you know, I didn't do any physical training or anything. And after class, he would bust out like 1,000 push-ups right in front of us.
Gangster.
He was a gangster. His big brothers were wrestlers.
Oh yeah.
So he had some wrestling technique behind him. And like he had been training with Odie for like 2 or 3 years. And within 2 months, I grabbed like Marcelo Garcia's DVDs.
Oh yeah.
And Saulo Ribero's Jiu-Jitsu Revolution DVDs.
Marcelo's like gi or like no gi DVDs. Do you remember?
Both. I had both. Yeah. I had both sets. The 6 DVD set.
Oh yeah, I had that one too.
So
that hook sweep.
Yeah, within a couple months.
It's my game.
Boom, I choked out that kid, that yellow belt or orange belt.
Yeah.
And I was like, see, this is what I'm talking about. Like this all makes sense to me. That guy studied this a long time, but I'm figuring out techniques and I'm choking this guy out.
Replicate
like
him.
I'm better than this guy in this moment right now.
Yeah.
You know, that for some reason made sense to me. So I kept going with it. And at the time I was like, my dad's, you know, my best friend was my dad. He would take me around everywhere.
Yeah.
And we would always like be fans of things like he was into racing. So we would be fans of racing and like, oh, this guy's the cool guy. Oh, we were into Porsches. So, you know, whoever's racing the Porsche or whatever we were into. And the same with dirt biking and all these little hobbies that we picked up and put down.
Right.
But jiu-jitsu was the first one where I was like we were the fan of like us. We were in there doing it.
Hell yeah.
At a semi high level, not a high level, at a level at least.
Yeah. Well, you guys started together.
So we started competing and stuff. And my dad was like not proud of the Porsche driver, but he was proud of how I did. So it was cool. It gave me meaning in that way.
That's amazing.
For sure.
It's the one regret I have is like I wish I could have trained jiu-jitsu with my dad, you know?
Yeah.
But I was already out of the house at 19, you know? And he was like lived in a different city. So it's like, that's cool that you get to experience. Do you still get to see your dad a lot or?
Yeah. He's been out here 3 or 4 times now.
That's good.
Yeah. We trained the last time he was here, he helped build the mats. And then before he left the next morning, I made him put my gi on.
Yeah.
And train with me and YJ.
Good.
Yeah. He's always trying to get out of it.
Duh.
Yeah, he's always trying
I wouldn't
want
to be being beaten with
I gotta tell him all the time.
That's what we were talking about with the twins. I was like, because their dad's a black belt, and I'm like,
yeah,
I wouldn't want to be beaten by my kid. I mean, I'd love him, but like, I still want to be dad.
Yeah,
I still want to be in charge.
Yeah, because would you keep the respect? Like that was.
Well, I think it transcends over time. So of course, like, you know, your kid gets old. That's a part you have to go through with. But I think that's probably got to be hard on someone's ego. You know, every dad out there probably can relate, I guess.
But also, just because I tap my dad out doesn't mean I don't see him as my dad.
Yeah.
Like,
but the thing is, you want your child to be better than you. I mean,
that is true.
Spoke about this before. But I remember when I was like 21 or so, and my dad, on my biological side, they're all like Gold Glove boxers, so they all like that level. So I grew up around that type of atmosphere.
Right.
And as my dad got older, there was one moment he grabbed me, and I'd been studying martial arts for a while. He had grabbed me, and I just swooped up, put him down, and I felt bad in that moment because he always told me, no matter how old I get, you'll never be able to beat me. And I beat him, and it broke my heart because I knew that his ego was crushed. Not that he was training, he was an older guy, but it was just, for me as the son, it didn't feel right. I didn't think of him any less, but in my mind, I empathized with the fact that he may have viewed himself as less, and so I let go. I'm like instantly. He probably could have knocked me, punched me, and knocked me out, but he used to knock me out in the front yard with gloves on. So I know he can hit hard, and I know what he can do.
Right.
But then in that moment, I was like, wow, I neutralized this man, because I think deep down inside, the reason I would street fight.
That's a good quote.
I think deep down inside, I was trying to beat him always. And all these street fights, we would go on road trip and start fights with random people.
Yeah.
I think that deep down inside, I was trying to beat him, and then I did, and it wasn't as fulfilling. Like you think when you're a kid, and you hate your parents, and you want to do all this stuff. So it's cool that you guys can train together. In that aspect, I think it bonds you versus me wanting to rival my father.
I train with my sister more often. My little sister is a purple belt.
Nice.
Yeah, she trains every day.
Where's she train at?
Back home at Atos HQ. Yeah.
You only have, is those your only siblings?
I have another little sister too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They both live in San Diego.
Do they both train?
They're 19 and 17 at this point.
Does your other sister train or no?
She used to. Yeah, she wasn't as into it.
Mm-hmm.
So you grew up in San Diego, and you grew up training in San Diego. What brought you to Colorado?
So I was actually born here.
Really?
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with it. Like my mom and dad were out here because my dad thought he was going to stay. He was doing some work out here. But as soon as they had me, they rushed back home.
So you ruined Colorado for them? Or?
Wow.
We take it back to Colorado.
I was too young to remember. I don't know how it was back then, but yeah. I've been training, but excuse me. I've been teaching for a really long time, and I've really enjoyed teaching. And maybe within the past 2 or 3 years, I started really feeling like I wanted to open my gym. And with Atos HQ being in San Diego, I couldn't open it there.
Right.
So I just started thinking like, okay, where can I open it? Where would I want to open it? And like the possibilities seemed like anywhere in the US.
Yeah.
You know, like I could just pick a spot and open up. And at first that seemed very overwhelming. But then I started thinking, okay, where would I really be happy though? Because wherever I open up, that's where I'm going to have to live and live indefinitely almost.
Sure.
Or live indefinitely for sure. So right away I was like, okay, anything on the East Coast doesn't sound, too appealing. Like I'm not a
knocked
city.
all those out.
Yeah, I'm not a city type person. I'm not, Florida's Florida. And then the Midwest was just a little bit too slow.
Wow. Okay.
On the West Coast, it seemed like...
Sorry, all Midwest
He's
people.
hating on all of us.
I mean, for me personally...
He's like, most of the United
For me
States
personally.
sucks. Yeah, no.
For me personally...
I'm from Iowa.
Hey,
So
the East Coast is a good spot for a lot of people, not me.
Right.
Same with the Midwest, and same with even the West Coast. Like, San Diego is my favorite place in the world, but...
It's beautiful down there.
The second you get past Long Beach and you start going towards LA... it becomes the worst place in the world.
I just lived in Encino, so it's a weird...
So I wouldn't go up to LA. I don't want to go up to San Francisco. I don't want to go anywhere in between those two places, and then what's left? Sacramento or something. Right. And then if you keep going north, it just seems like it's great all year long. Like if you go to Oregon, to Washington, as cool as Seattle is, you have to deal with being in the rain for 24/7, type environments. So like I really limited it down to actually Austin.
I love Austin.
Which is a great city. Salt Lake City, another great city. And Denver.
Yep.
And it went from literally all of the U.S. to 3 cities.
Wow.
That I could see myself happy in.
That's good.
And out of those 3 cities.
Did you go visit them before? Or
Yeah. I've been to all 3 a good amount of times. Salt Lake City, probably the least amount of times, but I've still been there 3 times.
Right.
And Denver's just a really fine city. It's
fun,
so cool
dude.
here.
I love Denver.
I love it here.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love Denver a lot.
Yeah, it's hard once you're here. It's hard not to want to be back. Like it's a different vibe, and the weather.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain being from Iowa to people. It's so cold. Like no, it's not. Like it is not what you think it is.
No,
yeah, it's a
the
higher
same.
altitude. There's always snow on the mountains most of the year.
It's not that bad.
With no humidity.
That's it. That's what I love. No mosquitoes.
Yeah.
People are like, because I'm from the South, people are like, oh, it's too much snow up there. And I'm like, you realize Denver's not in the mountains. It's
Right.
It's in the valley. It's on the foothills.
But they don't believe you.
I know.
Yeah.
So it snows, and then literally, like the next day or within hours, even the roads are clear, and there's just a little snow in the yards, and it's sunny. It's actually, I think it's like top 3 or something most sunniest cities in the United States, something like that, and it's beautiful.
You can't, For me, the biggest difference too, or the coolest part of Denver, or what made it most easy to transition to, is the people are so nice here. Mm-hmm. People are super nice,
super chill.
I mean, I'm sure that it's like that in other cities too, but coming from San Diego, people are chill in San Diego.
Right.
People are definitely chill, but they're not as nice.
Right.
They're not as genuinely nice.
Because people are happy to be in Colorado.
I think this is my theory.
Everybody's high.
This is my theory on it. Like in San Diego, like everybody's from somewhere different, right?
Right.
Like you don't know where anyone's from, and it's like everybody has a super different ethnicity, and there's so many people. Like when you meet someone, you don't trust them the same way that you trust the person here.
Right.
Like when you're here, I feel like people trust me when I'm talking to them about jiu-jitsu or talking to them about anything. They're like, oh, wow, you're talking very highly about jiu-jitsu. That must mean it's a cool thing. But back home, if I start to bring up jiu-jitsu, I can instantly feel them start to turn to like, oh, yeah, that's your thing. And that's cool. That's for you. You know, like everyone has this like general like distance that they maintain back home just because like you don't want to like
connect.
I don't know. You don't want to connect. You don't want to be vulnerable, I think.
Sure.
That's huge.
You know? And I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but it's just an observation is like I've been to 3 shows now here, like concerts.
Yeah.
And people are so willing to go crazy here. Like,
oh yeah,
people are willing to like start dancing and acting a fool right away. Back home, everyone just stands. It's so telling of the people. Like,
wow.
Like you don't want to expose yourself back home. Literally the same. I've seen the same artists in very similar venues.
Right.
And back home, we're just all standing with like a beer in our hand, and here everyone's dancing.
Yep.
Poorly. You know, like it's so cool. Right. It's so comfortable.
Sure.
Like and that translates into like when you just meet someone.
Right.
Like when you meet someone back home, I feel like a general like I feel like they posture a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, like
it's like they got to put on a show.
Yeah, they do. They have to like, you know, they're just standing there like, yeah, I'm proper. I'm not going to mess up or anything. Like I'm super cool. I'm from California. It's all good.
Glad you have your jiu-jitsu. That's nice for
that's
you.
Cool
Good for you.
Yeah.
I've got my own things, but whatever. And they're definitely not mean or anything.
Right.
You know, people in San Diego are super chill, but here I've had just like such an easy time talking to people and getting them into the gym.
Oh yeah, getting people to come into a jiu-jitsu gym is like you just talk to them.
It's so strange coming from San Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did it in Texas. So my first gym I opened was in Texas. And
how's that?
It was in Dallas. It's a suburb of Dallas. And we have this thing we call Texas nice, right? So it's
bless your heart.
Oh, bless your heart. And then they get in the car and that fucking bitch, right?
Yeah.
So they're real nice to your face.
Yeah.
So inauthentic.
Yeah.
And so so it's hard because you don't tell people, be like, yeah, I'll come check it out or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be about jiu-jitsu because you don't know you're getting a front.
Sure.
Versus like getting someone that's vulnerable, authentic, and real, which is, that's like what I look for in people is like their ability to be vulnerable. Like that's how I'm going to like determine on if I keep you around in my life.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want some fake ass person or some pathological liar. Like get out of here.
Yeah.
And so it's I love that about Denver. And you also mentioned the other day when I was over at your gym was how you said, I've seen the same fucking people at these open mats, at different open mats. Like,
oh yeah,
right? Because like when you go to, there's an, I don't know how it is. I guess I can call it old school mentality, right? In jiu-jitsu where you used to not be able to, you had your instructor, you had your gym and that's the only place you trained.
Yeah.
And you were a creanche or basically, for those of you that don't know, is like
this is
a trader, like, or something.
Well, coming from a Kung Fu background, I was like, when I first got into the jiu-jitsu, like what? Like you just go other places? Like how dare you do that to your instructor?
That's special.
Like that is your lineage.
Also.
That is.
No, it's we do it in Dallas too. There's a lot that do it in Dallas.
Okay.
So
or at least we created it.
They don't do that in California? They don't?
No,
Okay.
no. It's way more uniform in the sense that like you train where you train.
Right.
And open mats don't exist the same way that I've seen them here.
I tried doing that in Houston, right? Because I moved to Houston after I sold my gym. I sold to Gracie Baja. I moved down to Houston and with Drac. And I remember I was like, well, I'm up in Drac's south of Houston. I was up in Houston. I was like, well, I'm right by this Hillian school, right? So I'll just drop in and do a class. I looked at their schedule online, and it turns out Hillian was their teaching, right? So that's freaking like badass.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, cool. And it was crazy because like I listen to, my students are, when I'm teaching, I turn the music down, but when they're training, I turn the music up, right?
Sure.
And there was nothing. And he talks like this. He was teaching so quiet that everybody was in, like the air conditioner was louder than it. But when they saw me show up, I was like my purple belt looked like I'd been drugged behind a car for 10 years. And so all these guys started showing up, like all these upper belts, because it was about to get time to roll.
Yeah.
And dude, they did the old school, like new guy.
Yeah.
Here, let's put the fucking hammer down on him.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
They had all the
That's
beast.
how it goes.
Yeah, that's how they.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: it was kind of like an open mat thing at the end. Like I was just there to have fun and roll. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't here to and they lined up every fucking killer in there, and I was like fighting. I just stopped in, and so I think that's if it's going to be a new student signing up, like from another gym, you kind of want to like show them, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, because the purple belt over there is not the purple belt over here. So
right. And you're like, look at the jiu-jitsu we can offer, right? But when you're just out there hanging out, so you go to open mats here, like it's chill. Like you go to You see Nicole,
all of Easton's
like Nicole
open
was
mats
over
are
there,
so
right?
rad.
And she's over there. And I see her everywhere, dude. I'll see her at all kinds of open mats.
Yeah.
Like random, like far away. I'm like, hey, what's up? You know?
Yeah.
It's chill.
Yeah. The first, I think 6 weeks I was here, training for Phil Elites or the Super Fight with Phil Elites and training a little bit for my match in Hawaii. Well, pretty much all my time here spent without my own mats. I was training at Easton's almost every day.
Yeah.
And first of all, they let me in. Just that alone is so rad.
Yeah.
Like they let me train.
They're great about that. I go there sometimes.
Yeah, they're so cool. And then past that, like when I was in there, other people were in there from other gyms, and like that was cool. You know, like they had all these different sparring options where, like every day you could pick a session, and then and there was training like in Centennial on Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah, Tuesday, Thursdays at 1 o'clock class.
Friday was
Wart 4 up in Boulder, I think is what they call it.
I never made it to that one, but I did go to Boulder every 10 a.m. on Monday.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just good vibes.
I like going to Boulder. I used to go up there and train with John Combs.
Yeah, John's the man.
Yeah, he's fucking tough. That dude's a beast. I like rolling.
Shout out to John.
Hey, John, come down and train with us. We miss you, buddy.
Sorry, come down and train with us too.
But no, it's cool, and it's like that's the kind of cool thing about jiu-jitsu is because, you know, like I didn't have to do too much like research on you. You know what I mean? Or anybody that does jiu-jitsu that comes on the podcast, because it's literally just another guy at the gym.
Yeah.
Right. So I know I could just talk. You know.
Yeah.
Where if it was Steve coming on, I'd be like, Steve.
What can we find on you, Steve?
I got a lot of dirt.
That's so on the other podcast, the Nocturnal Gravy Show. Steve, you guys can see that episode. Steve comes on and he spills the beans, and it's pretty intense.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, he was rough back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now he's
I live a rough life.
now he's
I
good.
assume that.
Now he's a good boy. You assume that.
Do I just give up that vibe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve looked like he's seen some things.
Yeah.
Because he wears a beanie when it's hot in here.
Yeah. Before I came in here, Dylan was like, just don't look at Steve in the eyes.
Don't make eye contact.
Yeah.
What
It's like Medusa.
don't look at him in the eyes. He doesn't like
You
that.
enjoy the integrity of your liver. Just don't.
Yeah.
He will suck your eyes out, bro. No, it's good. So, you want to talk about your academy a little bit?
Sure.
What's that been like, opening up a gym? God bless your soul, bro. God bless your soul.
It's a
Learning curve, huh?
It's a learning curve. I've had so much support though. It's been pretty easy. Like not easy, but I always feel like, man, if I can't do this, like it all falls on me, because
Damn right.
I have, André backing me jiu-jitsu wise.
Yep.
Professor André Galvão.
If you don't train jiu-jitsu, if you train jiu-jitsu and don't know who that is, you're not really training or studying.
Spend a few minutes on YouTube.
Yeah, five seconds.
Yeah.
Let's take a step back. Like, where is it? What's it called?
Okay,
so
so
you want to give a shout out?
Lōgōs Jiu Jitsu. I opened up on 3440 Brighton Boulevard. It's in the Rhino Art District of Denver. It's kind of like,
I love that area.
it's so cool.
It's right down the street from the Source Hotel. So those Denverites or those people that work down there, it's right down the street from Source.
Yeah, I messed up and we live right next door to the academy. We live in the apartment complex.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, like
That's convenient.
we walk 3 or 4 minutes every day there and back. And
That's smart.
yeah, so we flyered the whole apartment complex.
Oh, nice.
We put flyers in every single person's like door number holder, right?
Right.
And I think I spent like $300 at Staples printing out 400 of these flyers, right?
Right.
Finish it up. I'm feeling all proud of myself. Someone comes in and they like really enjoy the class from our complex. Another person comes in, and then that night I get a text message that says, "Oh, we tried to show up this morning, but we couldn't find it." And I was looking at YJ like, man, this person's an idiot. Like, what?
Right.
You couldn't find it. Like, just walk 4 minutes
the
from
sweat from it outside.
Yeah.
Right.
You could see it from your door probably.
Right.
And then I was like, look, it's across from the Great Divide on Brighton Boulevard. You'll see it. There's a sign and everything. And I sent her the address, and she was like, "Oh, that's funny." It said I sent her 3440 Brighton Boulevard, and she was like, "Oh, my bad. It said 3400 Brighton Boulevard."
You put the wrong address
on the flyer. And I was like,
that's awesome.
I just sent her that emoji with the guy like smacking his face, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm sorry."
Welcome to Jiu-Jitsu guys running businesses.
Yeah.
So you take a Sharpie and go back to all the ones that haven't been picked up and fill them back in.
I'm trying to look at it, and I'm trying to look at it on the bright side. It's just another reason to flyer everybody. You know? Like so. But yeah, Lōgōs Jiu-Jitsu. It's been so much fun.
It's dope. I love your mats. I love the color of them.
Yeah,
I wish I would have done that. I actually do. Like I'm actually envious of it because we have black and blue mats, and I'm in a warehouse.
I like the blue.
No, the blue's great.
The blue's cool.
Well, it's got an Atos vibe.
Yeah.
I didn't do that on purpose, but the black is hard to keep clean. You know what I mean? And because we're in the back of the warehouse, since it's a flex space.
Yeah.
So it's just.
Yeah, we have a pretty cool looking building.
Yeah, your building's real chill.
Which it's very close to what I imagined in my head the gym looking like before I even found the place.
Right.
Like with the white walls and one long mat.
Yeah.
And the green, we picked that old school dojo green.
I love it.
And all the walls.
And you went
white.
tatami on the mat. You went the tatami style.
Yeah.
Instead of the smooth.
For me, that's the only way to go.
Yeah.
It's the only way to go. That's true jiu-jitsu mat right there.
Those ones like look like a tarp.
No.
It's the same mats we have. Just it's got little ridges in it. Tatami.
It's got like a texture to it.
Yeah, it's a texture.
Yeah.
Tommy just literally translated means mat.
Yeah.
Right?
I had no idea.
Yeah. And so, I started on tatamis, but then I got the smooth ones. At this gym, I put smooth in. And what's funny is I haven't trained on tatami mats in a minute because a lot of the other gyms you go to.
Did it scratch you up?
Yeah, right there, like my knuckle.
That's from our mat.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You bled all over.
Never training at your gym ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have
another one on my foot. I was telling guys.
I trained only on those mats, so I have like turtle skin at this point.
Usually, it's like I was like telling everybody, I was like, dude, I got a white belt injury the other day. This is awesome.
Hey, what's Jeremy doing? He's rubbing cocoa butter on the mat so you don't get.
And like the mats are brand new, so like they're really rigid.
Yeah, they're hard.
Top. So every day I look across the mat and there's like little blood smears everywhere because people's hands rip up or their feet rip up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a back and forth because they on the tatami, there's always like a back and forth in jiu-jitsu. What's better, gi, no gi? What's better, tatami or smooth? Because they say tatami,
guys.
Well, they say tatami holds more bacteria and they're harder to clean. So
versus the smooth.
Yeah.
Oh, the
because you have all the ridges.
The mats
don't dig in
it.
better though too, because of that, right? So
everything you're gonna pick up from training jiu-jitsu is going to be from the training partners rather than the mats.
Yeah, like I don't even trip on it.
Most, like all the staff and all the ringworm, it's going to come from,
from Lōgōs Jiu-Jitsu.
I don't train that hard, but we're probably all genetically the same by now, as much as people sweat and drip all over your face and like.
Yeah. That's a learning experience. The first time some big ass dude's on top of you and sweat drips off their face right onto your face.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. That's an environmental factor you got to get used to for sure.
Or if you're claustrophobic,
keep going.
You're like, oh my god.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my white belt students the other day, who lives in the complex. We were having dinner and everything, and we were chilling.
Right.
And he was explaining to me, he's like 240 pounds.
Right.
He was explaining to me how he got upset because someone didn't want to roll with him because he was too big. It wasn't at my gym, but at another academy.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time he's like popping off about this, and I'm looking at him like, okay, yeah, but I also kind of understand that, bro. You're 240 and mad athletic, like you could break someone easily, So that was the topic of the conversation. And then we started talking about another one of my students who's even bigger than him. He's a good size. I don't even want to guess how much he weighs. Super cool dude. And he was like saying like, there's times where I don't want to roll with him. He's huge, but I say yes every time.
Right.
And I was like, rolling with him's not that bad. And he was like, you just say that because he can't pass your guard. And I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Like, if I didn't have the skills that I had, I would probably not appreciate these roles nearly as much, with guys that are over 200 and 300 pounds. But
I like rolling
Lōgōs
with big people.
Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, you guys can check it out. I like rolling with bigger people. When I started, I was only 140 pounds. And I was 6'1", so I was the scrawny kid.
You were 140. I heard this the other day. You were 140 at 6'1".
Yeah, dude, I was scrawny.
How does that even work?
like a praying mantis being crushed on the mat at white belt, dude.
Were you like vegan or something?
No, dude.
bro?
I just had a high appetite. Like,
wow.
Yeah, you gotta see that. I've only seen the one picture of you and Hoist, and it's like totally different guy.
I have
like,
a picture of me and Hoist when I was 19, and I looked.
That's gnarly.
Yeah, it was crazy. Jiu-jitsu, changed your life. But
Sure.
I go, you know what? If I'm gonna, because the instructor's like, focus on technique. Technique always wins.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll just do whatever he says. His words are gold, And so, but I said, I'm going to lean in. If I can beat the big guys, I can beat the small guys, which isn't necessarily that's not true as in the higher belts.
Yeah.
But when you're first learning technique as a lower belt, definitely I believe that's true. And so I just started going with the bigger dudes, and I constantly with them until I started to beat them, right, and have to get the technique right. So like simple sweep and that, and then that got so much so that like, one of my guys, one of my purple belts, he came to this other gym here in town that I was a part of, and I was working with, and he showed up there, and I rolled with him the first day, and I like people in the gym would shy away from him, upper belts. They always do that, especially like smaller purples and stuff. Sometimes go, I don't want to get hurt by the bigger guy. He's not my weight class,
Yeah.
I got a competition coming up,
Sure.
And I would just constantly roll with this dude every day. I would never turn him down. So
Yeah.
then when I come over, he followed me. He's like, yeah, the other guys would turn me down. Even guys bigger than you would turn me down,
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know. That's like, it's the same thing you said at the beginning about leaning into the uncomfortability of it.
Yeah.
Like if your jiu-jitsu can't work on someone bigger than you,
Yeah.
or you're too scared to, then there's probably something you need to address in your game or yourself.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
I'm still down to turn down a big
Really?
guy every once in a while, though.
It depends on how big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nicky Rodriguez.
No, I don't mind if the guy's good at jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
I'm more afraid of like wild, like.
Oh, like a big white belt. You're talking about big white belt.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that shit's dangerous as hell.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing they say is you'll get into a street fight because they don't know anything. They just come in and do what they would do on the street.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know what's going to happen with a white belt. Marcelo used to say that you should always train with white belts just because you should always be on edge.
Yeah, I remember him saying that. But as
I would say that's a debatable point.
Well, you're also, but as an academy owner, you got to kind of do that too.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
For sure. I train with Larry every day. 240 white belt.
Get it,
240
Larry.
pounds, white belt, like a lifelong experience in martial arts and kickboxing and stuff. He's super athletic.
Do you do any other martial arts?
No. Yeah. I don't do anything else.
Really?
Jiu-jitsu.
Well, what's your hobbies? Do you have any hobbies? Video games.
I like
snowboarding.
I like listening to music a lot, like really closely.
Yeah. What kind of music do you like?
I'll listen to any genre as long as it's got some type of soul in it, like some soul samples or like some soulful, type aspect to it. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have like favorite artist?
Yeah, I listen to. My favorite artist is probably the Alabama Shakes.
Mm-hmm.
The lead singer Brittany Howard just released a solo album that's really good.
Yeah.
And her specifically, she's probably my favorite musical artist. Her and the lead singer of the Black Keys.
Okay.
Black Keys, especially like some of their old stuff and some of their side projects are really, really amazing pieces of work.
So if we get her to come on the podcast, you want to come on with her?
I would die. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
We'll shout out to them. We'll send them a message.
Yeah. Slide in those DMs.
Slide in those DMs.
I already have tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll set you up on a blind date.
There you go.
She's lesbian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can always transition here in Denver.
It's not as attractive.
It's real accepted in here to chop things off and add things on.
Yeah, I was talking to I don't know if this is a good story to tell or not, but I was talking to the cash register at I was buying a whole bunch of I don't remember. I was at a grocery store and I was telling the lady about my jiu-jitsu academy because it was right across the street from the grocery store. And I was saying like, oh yeah, me and my partner are here training and teaching and this is the academy. It's pretty dope. And then, and she was like, oh, that's sweet. And then I was like, oh yeah, my partner right here, YJ. And YJ appeared out of nowhere.
Right.
And she was like, sweet. And I was like, business partner though,
Yeah.
business partner. And she was like, hey, I don't judge. It's all good. And I was just like, no, it's cool. This is my business partner though.
If you want to give him your business, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And then YJ was like, yeah, but we live together. And I was like, YJ, that was a business decision, YJ. Chill out. And then like we had this full blown argument in front of her. It was so funny. Yeah.
Do you have a rule like about weird? Oh, I can't remember. We talked about this on another podcast, but do you have a rule like?
Sounds like a good question.
Don't stick your pen in the company ink.
Yeah,
don't
touch
sleep.
that.
Don't sleep with students. Don't hook up with students.
Yeah.
I have that rule.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
definitely.
So you're safe, Steve.
Yeah, you're safe, Steve. Do you? So like do you have a girlfriend?
No.
Okay, so if a hot girl came in and signed up and was like, "Can we go on a date?"
I would probably tell her jiu-jitsu's not for her.
Really? Would you like get out of my academy if we're gonna do this?
Honestly, jiu-jitsu's I just don't think this is the right fit for you, but we could kick it later. No, I'm just kidding.
Like, well, it depends. Do you like being choked? Like,
damn, you down to get choked, girl?
No, that's just a mistake.
Yeah, you can't do that.
I did it when I was like
when you're a student.
When I was a student as well. But definitely, if you're going to try to date when you're the instructor, that's just
it's dangerous.
You're asking for
trouble.
You're asking for trouble at that point. Yeah, especially with how things go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not what you want to do.
You can't have drama.
Yeah. So everything I had just said, that was all just jokes.
Jokes, baby, jokes.
Yeah, if you want to come train. I won't.
Yeah, but if you want to date, just hit him up and then go on the date. But I mean, have when you dated someone, did you ever have them be like were they trained jiu-jitsu too or no? Or do you want your partner to train jiu-jitsu?
Most of the girls I've dated have trained jiu-jitsu.
Is that how do you feel about like dating girls that train? Because you share a passion.
Yeah.
But also like the passion's so big, it's sometimes nice to have something that's not that.
Yeah, relationships that lasted have always been with people that do jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's hard to say. I was like, we're talking about all these years of me being young and dumb. So
yeah.
So like I'm not about to speak on experience as if I was making the right decisions.
Well, some people I've heard like guys in here that are like a lot of dudes in here actually will say like, no, I don't want my wife to train or whatever because like this is my space, my place, my sanctity where I come to let out.
I could see that
family shit or whatever.
I definitely felt that at times. Yeah.
You know, you get into a fight with your girl and then you show up at the gym and she's there training and staring at you like you're like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. I don't know. It all depends on the person too. Like for me personally, I'm so like up, down, in and out. There is no baseline with me.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, one day I'll really appreciate what I'm doing and where I'm at. And then the next day, like, I'll be like, oh, I need to strive for more for sure.
Right.
And, you know, you're in the way or something. So like
ebb and flow.
Yeah. Like I think I'm better off just kind of on my own path.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're dating someone that's also training jiu-jitsu, that's also training it a lot and like professionally, that's tough because you two are now aligned. Like you are one.
Right.
Especially if you train at the same gym. And some people can't take that. Some people, they thrive in that situation.
Yeah.
So it's all up to you at that point. Like, is that what you want to do or not?
Yeah. There's a lot of black belts out there that have like their wives train or girls train.
For sure.
And then they're like train at the same gym. I mean, and they take coaching fine. There's a lot of them that don't.
It's hard too. Like if I were to start dating someone that doesn't do jiu-jitsu, it would be really weird of me not to suggest that they try it.
Oh yeah.
That's your
because I tell everybody that they should try it. Why wouldn't I tell this person that I like not to try it? You know, like,
well, they need to try it. Everyone, you should at least, I mean, even if you're dating them, but you don't want to be like in there all the time, they should at least learn how to defend themselves.
Sure.
And learn how to rear naked choke in case you're like, getting beat up and she can jump on the dude's back and
yeah.
You better not be getting beat up if you do jiu-jitsu.
If my girl has to step in to save me, just
what you want is to be like,
just let me die right there and then. It's fine.
No, what you do is when some dude is picking a fight with you, you're like, I'm gonna let my girl handle you.
All right. So this is a story that I need to tell.
Yes.
This is the one.
What time are we at?
We're at 124.
Oh yeah, we're doing good.
Okay, so
Plus the intro.
So we went. What's the easiest
go
way to
further
tell this?
if
This
is
is how I knew that jiu-jitsu isn't anything compared to this energy, which is just pure, raw, inner, like primal woman, defend yourself, protect yourself energy.
Okay.
So I went to a party for Halloween, and that was one of my favorite stories.
How old were you?
Shoot, I don't even know.
Okay.
It's like right out of high school.
All right.
So
You're an adult.
yeah,
Okay.
young adult, and it was me, my friend, and this girl that I was about to date, and her friend.
Uh-huh.
Right. So it was 4 of us. We go to a party that we don't know anybody, right? And we get there, and so it's me, one of my really close friends, and then we get there, and not the girl that I was about to date, but her friend. We see her friend's boyfriend there.
Okay.
Okay. We see her boyfriend's there with another girl.
Oh yes.
Okay. So,
Yes.
So right away, just like any typical like high school age person, you know, I go up to my friend and we start making a really big deal out of this. We're like,
Yeah.
bro, like, did you see him with, you know, with that chick? Like, we got to tell her, or I mean, we got to tell him, we got to tell him that his girlfriend's here. We got to figure this. So we're like, you know, like dramatically going through this in our head in between each other. And then we're like, all right, let's do it. And then we go and we see the girl that was about to date's friend already beelining it to the two of them already. So now we're trying to catch up to kind of intercept the situation and see what we could do. I don't even know. It all happened so fast. And now the girl that was about to date's friend starts fighting with the girl.
Okay.
Okay. So the extra girl in this situation is now in the fight with the girl that was about to date's friend.
Yes.
They grab each other's hair naturally and start hitting each other, right? The girl that we're with, she so now we're going to step in because we should definitely stop this.
Yeah, you're a gentleman.
This needs to come to an end.
After he instigated the shit out of it.
The boyfriend is just standing there watching.
Hey, okay.
He's stoned. So we're going to step in, and our friend grabs the girl by the hair, like throws her down, and like perfectly neon bellies her.
Yeah.
Like 2 points. Boom. Right? Now the girl's like trying to hit her from the bottom. Our friend throws 2 fingers up this chick's nose.
No.
Boom.
Ooh.
And she's like, I swear, if I see you with him again, I'm gonna rip your nose clean off. As soon as the fingers went up the nose, me and my friend were like, whoa.
Gangster.
Like, you don't want to touch that.
Right. That's a
You know what I mean?
level.
You can't touch that. You don't know what's gonna happen. You know, you don't want to pull that off while the hook is still in or anything. So like right there and then I was like, there's no training that girl needs. There's no jiu-jitsu. She doesn't need to learn scissor sweep. She doesn't need to learn any submission hold. She just came up with that like Krav Maga-esque shit.
Yeah.
Just off of pure like teenage like
Rage.
female rage.
Like it was so natural.
It was so natural for her
She
to go,
shoved 2 fingers.
Wham!
What did that?
Wham!
What did that girl do when those
Dude, that
knees?
was like, what do you do? What happens if someone pulls your nose off?
I'm so sorry.
Where does that stop? Ever since that happened, every time I tell it, it takes me like 5 or 6 minutes of thinking like, okay, if someone were to like grab and start pulling, that must pull off your nose all the way up into your forehead.
Dude.
Like your skin must be like in a strip off all the way up to your scalp.
Oh.
Like there's no getting around that.
No, the noses.
And you don't want to
Highly sensitive.
You don't want to hit or anything if someone's got that type of control on you.
Yeah,
So did she just stick 2 fingers in, but then like, was she holding her head?
Yeah. No.
Oh, so she had her head.
she was
and then
locked in,
Locked
like-
in.
Oh, she.
Deep.
The girl was done.
Oh.
The girl was.
What'd the
fried
girl
at that
do?
point.
Her eyes
Huh?
just get big? She
Yeah,
stopped?
she
She froze?
Everybody stopped. It was a frenzy. As soon as we all saw fingers in the nose, silence. Like, and then the girl's like, I swear, if I see you with him again, I'll rip your nose off. And that was like the most gangster line I've ever heard in my life.
That's a threat you take serious.
Dude, that's going to be our next
Your
t-shirt.
nose. Your nose. You want to keep that.
Our next T-shirt is I'll see you with him again. I want to rip your nose off.
Because what would she do to your other orifices? Like, if she's willing to do that.
It wouldn't even take anything else, though. Like, what are you going to do? Walk around with your, like, nose dangling from your forehead?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think it would take much to take it off, too, because it's just...
No.
It's just there.
No, if you rip... I get so stoked on that, like, every time I tell it, because it's such a, like...
Gnarly.
It's such a gnarly maneuver.
Yeah. Wow.
You can't learn that. You can't teach that.
No. It's that something inside of her is... Do you know where she is or see her ever again?
Definitely not. I have...
That's who you should have dated.
Little to no... No, thank you. Yeah,
come on.
not.
Look, every jiu-jitsu black belt I know is a little fucking crazy.
Because she's willing to put her fingers in things. So.
Hey, oh my God. And every jiu-jitsu, first of all, any jiu-jitsu school owner is definitely crazy. So she would have been a perfect match for you.
She wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Come on, you get into a fight. That girl walks over to that dude and goes, "If you ever try to hurt my man again,
I'll rip your nose off.
I'll rip your fucking nose off."
I don't think that's what I admire.
No.
Someone.
You want someone that just smells good and is sweet.
A little bit vulnerable.
Yeah.
A little bit.
God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It would have been even better if she whispered it in her ear. Like, just lock in. Touch him again. I'll rip your nose.
Oh my. Have you ever had like a crazy girl? Like, have you had somebody crazy? Like, what's the craziest like girl thing that's happened to you?
That type of energy just doesn't work on me. It'll bounce right. Like,
yeah, you don't attract that.
Like ridiculous craziness. Like, it'll hit me and I won't like respond. So it'll just come back to you, and you'll just be like, "Wow, I just said something really ridiculous."
Well, you're pretty like
that's why
calm, cool, collected kind of.
Even if I've dated a girl or had any type of interaction with a girl that's crazy, like it just like I don't like. Yeah,
nothing.
It doesn't go anywhere with me. Like, it doesn't escalate.
Well, you're like real chill, right? So
yeah,
since I've kind of got to know you a little bit, and like kind of opposite the twins, do you ever get crazy? Do you ever like do you ever get how are you when you get mad?
I don't get mad very often.
Okay.
I accept things for sure. I don't really know.
When's the last time you got like pissed off?
Let me think.
Shadow was like on the way over here. I was punching somebody.
Okay. There was
I was road raging on the way here.
Yeah.
Do you ever road rage?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
He's perfect for Denver.
So on your way home.
What's that?
Oh yeah, he has to teach. So we're gonna have to wrap it up here.
What time is it?
2:30.
Yeah, you're gonna have to roll here in a little bit.
No, I don't really get mad. I don't.
Wow.
I don't. That's not in me, I guess.
Steve, put your finger in his nose.
Do they give you a nickname, like your instructor?
No, I've spent
all these years no nickname.
13 years in jiu-jitsu and never received a nickname.
Wow.
Yeah, people have tried. Many have failed.
We need to get him one that means like calm one or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Something that's because you're real chill.
Yeah, I don't know. I try not to be like, even when I teach, because the way we run classes at Lōgōs, like we do an hour of drilling, an hour of sparring, hour of drilling, hour of sparring.
Right.
And it goes, well, right now it's just 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night. But once January 1st starts, our official schedule starts, and it's going to be from like 6 a.m. till 1 p.m.
Yeah, so if you guys are listening to this, you're listening in January, they already are running an official schedule, so you guys can come out.
So 6 a.m. until 1 p.m. and then again at 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. And even in those classes, I try not to like interject myself very much. I try to guide the jiu-jitsu session that we're about to have, but not put myself in there.
Yeah, not like
I try to show the drills that we're all going to drill. I try to make sure we're all sparring, but it's definitely, or from my point of view, or the way I try to run it, is I'm definitely not the one commanding any of this. Like I try not to be there. I try to let jiu-jitsu, I try to just let jiu-jitsu do its thing.
Right.
You know?
That's the way it should be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
And I think that's how my personality is in general.
Yeah.
Like when I'm talking
Go with
about
the flow.
something, I like to talk about it as if it's not me saying it, but I don't know. That's not true either. I don't know what I'm saying at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what other like, what is like something people don't know about you? Or it takes a while for people to kind of get to know, or because see, he's real good. He's real good about like talking about things and topics. But when you ask him about himself,
put him on the spot, yeah,
yeah. I don't. Okay, I mean, these are all like really basic things, but like good conversation, I think is really good. Like that's why I love something like this podcast. I think this right here is one of my favorite things. Just
it's
because
fun.
It doesn't happen very often.
No.
Like if you didn't have this podcast, there's no way we would ever sit down and talk for this much or get into this deep a conversation.
I would be like, it's just another gym owner in town.
Yeah, so,
maybe he's trained with you a little bit, but
so I try to do this more often.
Yeah,
like if you come into my gym, and you just want to hang out and talk, like I'm always down for that. Like I'm always down to meet new people at the gym or anyone somewhat jiu-jitsu related at the gym. So, some or not jiu-jitsu related
Steve,
outside of the
not
gym.
jiu-jitsu, so you could show up over there, okay?
Sure.
Could show up. That's the last thing anyone wants is for me to just show up and announce.
Yeah.
Steve's here in the lobby. What?
Does he have a 9-iron?
Yeah, you guys watch the other episode, you'll hear about his 9-hour story.
Yeah.
Cool.
Little dumb stuff like, you know, I didn't finish high school. I guess a lot of people probably don't know that.
Yeah.
I gave it up.
Me either.
Really?
So did you ever get it like, did you ever get like a GED or anything?
Okay, so I stopped going to high school and I was going to do this online program.
Mm-hmm.
And then this online program was taking me more time than being at school.
Right.
So I was just like, all right, well, I'm not going to do this either. And then I was like, oh, I'll just get my GED. And then I bought the study books for getting your GED. And then I went online and took 2 practice GEDs.
Yep.
And aced both of them. So practically generally educated. That's
wow.
Yeah, it's the same way. 8th grade was the last grade that I actually passed. I was in juvenile detention most of 9th grade, and then I failed that. And then like I got a court order because I was a juvenile delinquent. Got a court order to take the GED test. Took it one day, crushed it, 90 percentile on everything. Like, and then I went about my life. Like it's.
Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah, as soon as I saw as soon as I saw what the practice test was,
right,
I was like, yo, I don't need to prove to anyone that I know this. This is way too easy.
That's some gangster shit. So you technically don't have one.
No.
That's cool.
You know,
practically generally educated. That's my
and he's a small business
education
owner.
level.
Yeah, I dropped out of college.
But it's weird. Like if you could, there was a way to find those people in society, the world would be a better place.
Yeah.
Because your school wasn't your thing. It just wasn't my thing. Like I had stuff that my mind was occupied with. Either I went to like a music school or a tech school, maybe something different. But if they had jiu-jitsu like high school or something like that, like someone needs to create these type programs for people that are just into stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're so indoctrinated.
You still take classes, but at the same time you learn to train.
At the same time, I think I should have been disciplined enough to at least finish high school sometimes. And I definitely don't advocate just dropping out of school
unless it's like a passion that you're going to do, right? Like if some kid shows up and he's like, I want to do jiu-jitsu and I'm going to be a world champion and this is what I want to do.
I still recommend that he finishes
I'd be like,
high school.
Nope. I always tell him like, come on. Well, hey, you know, we could, you could always ask the twins.
Yeah.
They could tutor you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're about to graduate.
You guys could all take the test at the same time.
Yeah.
And let us film it. That'd be awesome. We'll do a whole ceremony.
Bullets. I'd be like, yo, you guys can tap me, but you're definitely not outsmarting me, all right? Not right now. Not at this point.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I think that's good. I think that's all we got. You got anything for him?
No, I'm good, man.
Do you
want to plug any of your gym has an Instagram or you have an Instagram?
We do have an Instagram. It's at Lōgōs BJJ Denver. LOGOS BJJ Denver.
What does Lōgōs mean? I forgot to ask you.
So Lōgōs is like there's an infinite amount of definitions of it and understandings of it. There's like the biblical.
Who came up with it? You, YJ?
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Greek, it means like logic or word or truth, but more in the sense of like what's really true and not just it's supposed to give meaning to everything, like this type of truth that you're seeking.
Right.
So not just, you know, this table's made of wood, but like more truth in the sense that like, pretty much what we were talking about.
Right.
How, you know, what we do is what gives jiu-jitsu its meaning.
Yeah.
And that meaning is kind of like what Logos is. Biblically, Logos is basically God.
Yeah.
And God in action. Like God when he's controlling this universe. That's the way they see it. Mm-hmm. And philosophically, it's pretty similar. It's like the way this universe works and the meaning that it's given. And I see jiu-jitsu the same way. Like really easily you can see jiu-jitsu as not having meaning. Mm-hmm. But there is...
It's what you add.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's that balance that kind of like jiu-jitsu can be so chaotic.
Yeah.
But through that crazy chaos, like this structure and this order kind of births out of it.
Yeah.
And then it becomes too strict to that structure and order.
Right.
And in that structure and order, chaos gets born out of that.
Yeah, it overlaps. It keeps going.
That never ending kind of concept of what jiu-jitsu is and what this is kind of like my understanding and what I'm trying to understand more about Logos of jiu-jitsu.
That's awesome. That's kind of cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that. It's like there's something where I think I can't remember. It's like the God, like there's chaos and for whatever you believe, right? And there's I can't remember how it goes, but somebody will probably correct me in the comments. I'm sure thousands of people correct me because I'm not the best with it. But it's like something where like Jesus he came back to heaven or it was out so that he could see from God's perspective the chaos of earth below. Because when you step outside of it, then you can see that there's order and structure to it. But when you're in the mix of it, it's completely confusing. That's like being in a fight in jiu-jitsu.
This is definitely out of my wheelhouse, but like it's kind of understood that like one way that you can understand the Logos is God created Jesus to give the Logos to the humans. Because like to explain it and to show it to them the right way, the good way, and the truth.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't pick one of those definitions.
Yeah, you're not attached to any of them.
A really interesting
concept
that I've been studying a lot.
Because jiu-jitsu is not a replacement for religion.
No.
At any way.
It's pretty close sometimes.
Sometimes though. You can be very spiritual with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know.
It could definitely help your life in a lot of ways.
But
Same
I think
ways that religion has helped a lot of other people.
I think if you're like a Christian or something, right? Or any of that, like people are always talking about bringing that into the mix. I think that jiu-jitsu is too small of a conversation. I think that if you try to bring God into that conversation, I think you need to put jiu-jitsu and put yourself into God. That's a bigger conversation. Jiu-jitsu is too small for God. So does that make sense? Like you move. Yeah. So it's like how you do jiu-jitsu, you kind of live, like I said earlier, like for me, I see jiu-jitsu as life. So kind of how you interact in that and do that. You talked about it's kind of, the Logos is kind of like the wisdom and the teaching of that. It's like what you experience in jiu-jitsu and how you live and how you get connected and move and how you relate to people and how you grow and who you become in it and how it changes your body and your mindset. That is the thing that is how you start to operate your entire life. And once you can start operating your life from that, it gives you this, like you said, this structure.
Jiu-jitsu is a beautiful thing.
It's amazing, dude. It's a huge
Let me
gift.
tell you something about jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is a beautiful thing.
Damn, we were getting off the phone. We were getting off the podcast and we're over here like getting
definitely have me back. This was great.
We'll end it on that. Jiu-jitsu is a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. All right, guys. Well, you guys check them out, Lōgōs Jiu Jitsu. You guys come over to DillaMilla Academy over here with us. Follow us online. And thanks for being here, man.
Like I said,
come back on again.
Anytime.